Okay, so that was Raj. He is, again, the tech director here. He's working on something downstairs right now. Just came up and asked me some questions. So anyway, this little piece back here always breaks off. So again, just glue it back together. And then once it's all spackled and sanded and painted, it looks great. Nobody knows the difference. But you will now, so you'll when you see these things, you'll be like, liars! You're lying to me! A lot of glue. We go through a lot of glue on this project. A lot of plaster too. I've already used over 350 pounds of plaster so far in making these things, which is just crazy. I have to go out and buy plaster a couple times a week. When I'm really clipping along, when I'm really making a lot of these things at once and you know, I'm ahead of the curve, I can go through about a bag of plaster a day. Bag of plaster is 25 pounds. Good. So glued back together, and then I leave this thing to sit upright like this, so that, you know, it's like an arch, so that the gravity of it goes down. You can see it better that way. The gravity of it, when it's going down that way, it forces these two things together. That way they won't fall out when they're before the glue is dry. So then I would do the same thing for the jaw, pop it out, and then I'd have to clean all of these edges. So you can see all of this junk plaster that accumulates around the edges of this thing. I have to go around every edge, and with my little pointed file with a red handle, best tool in the universe, I go around and I just gently scrape out all of this plaster back down to the original plaster mother mold here. Do all of that. Once everything is scraped out, then I Vaseline all around here. And I've actually been using the Vaseline on the silicone itself. Silicone, especially with something that's innocuous as plaster, you don't really need to use a release agent. The silicone is durable enough that it can stand, you know, over time, and the plaster is not going to destroy the silicone. I mean, it might be different if you're using something a lot more harsh, like whatever, different kinds of resins or something, but plaster's fairly inert, so it's not going to damage the silicone. What will damage the silicone is the constant pressure that's put upon it from demolding. So you'll probably start to get like slight tears and things, and we've already had some of that stuff going on around here. So what I've been using on this is Vaseline as a release agent. And again, I would not do that if this were like a film project. Because this project is for theater, and I don't need to capture all kinds of crazy detail, you know, I just need essentially like what looks good from 15 feet away. So I don't need to capture like all of these tiny little veins and things. You know, silicone is so great because when you pour it into a mold, it'll capture everything down, every detail down to the smallest. So even a fingerprint, it'll reproduce it. So if you're getting extreme close-ups on stuff, you want to use a silicone mold because it'll capture all of the tiniest detail. But since people in the theater, in the seats, aren't going to see any of that detail, I mean, they're going to see enough detail that these things will look really, really good. But they don't need to see something as fine as these veins or a little fingerprint. Because of that, I can use Vaseline on this. And Vaseline, while it's awesome, it's going to take away some of that detail. So if this were a film project, I would use a different kind of mold release agent. I might use something like this, which is an aerosol. This probably won't take away as much of that detail, and preserve it and help it look better for a film project, whatever. But for theater, you know, it's fine. And these things have a 5-minute stage life, so what we come up with is spectacular, I think, for what the project needs. Yeah, I don't know really if there's much else. It's you know, it's kind of a huge endeavor. I'm happy to have the gig. It's one of my favorite gigs of all time, you know. This is my Starburst. Completely delicious. I eat more Starburst and Hers barbecue chips doing this project than just about anything else. Yeah, so I guess that's it. So you, let me get my face in this now that I'm selling something. How about I get the rest of my face in this? I don't know what I'm doing. This is the first time I've ever used a camera. So, yeah, that's the project that we're working on. It's called A Skull in Connemara. It's very funny. It's like a dark comedy, so if you got a messed up sense of humor, you're going to like it a lot. It runs until February 13th. They've just extended it a week because demand is so strong. Tickets are just going very quickly. It's selling out. So you should probably come see it. And you should probably buy your tickets fast because they're going. And you can follow the link again to Lantern Theater and find out more about the show there. Buy your tickets online. And I'm also going to put a link to a different video one of our interns made. It's like a series of, it's like a photo slideshow with snippets of video of the process spliced in as well. You can look at that also, and that has some more of the bone making stuff. And tomorrow, what's going to be really awesome is I'm going to speak at the Muter Museum here in Philly, which is like a museum of medical oddities. It's pretty famous in Philly, and I'm sure it's gaining a lot of reputation around the world for being a place where you can see all kinds of crazy medical, bizarre things, you know, that you can't see anywhere else. It's got Chang and Eng's liver, the Siamese twins. It's got the liver that conjoined them. It's got a giant colon, bunch of skulls and skeletons with all sorts of weird ailments. It's freaky deaky, but it's cool. And tomorrow we're going to speak there. We're taking a bunch of our bones, and I'm taking this mold, and I'm going to be demolding this again there for some of the funders of the theater company. And we're going to be speaking with a forensic anthropologist, I think he is. The interesting part is that I didn't really know that it was tomorrow. So today they came up to me and they were like, "Hey, you want to speak tomorrow?" So okay, whatever. Yeah, so I'm going to be speaking to these people and explaining this process to them, and I will be doing this after having been awake and working for approximately, 27 hours. So that should be interesting. So I'll put a link to that video as well. I'm bringing the camera. I'm going to record that, so you can see the difference, who I am right now versus who I am after 26 or 27 hours of working. Yeah. But that's it. Come see the show. And yeah, I think you'll like it.